The ocean is silent, but beneath its waves lies a storm no one can see. For decades, the world believed the United States Navy ruled the seas without question. Fleets of aircraft carriers, destroyers, and submarines stretching across every ocean like an empire of steel. Yet, far across the Pacific, another power has been quietly building something extraordinary. A navy so vast, so rapid in its rise, that it threatens to change the balance of the world. The question is simple but terrifying. What if China's navy is not only stronger than the world believes, but prepared to face the United States in ways no one expected? Picture the horizon filled with warships. Carriers, drones, hypersonic missiles, and stealth submarines, clashing in the South China Sea. Whose fleet truly dominates when the ocean becomes a battlefield? This is not about war. It's about understanding power, strategy, and the silent race unfolding right now. By the end of this video you'll see the hidden strengths, the weaknesses, and the terrifying possibilities of AU.S.China Naval Showdown. Stay with me because what you're about to discover will change the way you see the world's oceans forever. Pushpin: this video is for educational purposes only. The awakening of a sleeping dragon. The South China Sea glimmers under the morning sun, calm on the surface, restless beneath. For centuries, it was simply a trade route, a pathway of merchants, explorers, and conquerors. But today, it has become something far more dangerous, the heartbeat of a power struggle between the United States and China. To understand the suspense of this moment, you have to go back just a few decades. In the late 20th century, China's navy was a shadow of itself today. It was coastal, defensive, old ships lingering like relics from another era. The United States, meanwhile, had already become the global master of the seas, 11 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, submarines that could strike anywhere, and fleets designed not to defend a homeland but to project power across the world. But then, something changed. In the 1990s, Chinese leaders looked out over the ocean and saw vulnerability. They realized that in the age of global trade, technology, and sea power, their future could be stolen by any fleet that controlled their waters. What followed was one of the fastest naval expansions in human history. New shipyards began glowing with light day and night. Aircraft carriers that once seemed impossible for China suddenly began to take shape. Frigates and destroyers rolled out with such speed that Western analysts couldn't keep up. By the 2020s, whispers began to spread. China now had the largest navy in the world by sheer number of ships. But here lies the mystery. Does quantity equal dominance? Or is America's technology, training, and experience still so far ahead that China's numbers mean little? This is the puzzle that military analysts struggle to solve, and the answer could shape the next century. Now, picture the waters of the Pacific. On one side, a U.S. carrier strike group, led by the USS Gerald R. Ford, bristling with advanced aircraft and Aegis destroyers guarding its flanks. On the other, China's Liaoning and Shandong carriers, surrounded by Type 055 destroyers and swarms of smaller vessels. The waves between them carry more than just salt water, they carry the weight of global history. China's Navy, the People's Liberation Army Navy, plan, has not only grown in numbers but in ambition. Its strategy is not to fight like America but to outthink it. Where the U.S. projects power globally, China has focused regionally, building an arsenal designed to dominate its near seas. Anti-ship ballistic missiles that can streak across the sky at hypersonic speeds. Submarines designed to lurk silently in contested waters. Carrier-based fighters ready to defend its coastline. The suspense deepens when you realize this. The United States has not faced a true naval rival since the Second World War. For decades, its dominance has been unchallenged. But now, for the first time in nearly a century, another navy dares to rise to its level. What happens when these two giants finally lock eyes across the ocean? That is the story of this series. And it begins here, with the awakening of China's naval power, the silent storm gathering just beyond the horizon. And as the first chapter closes, ask yourself this chilling question. If China has already surprised the world with its rapid rise, what secrets still wait beneath its waters? Clash of carriers, the heart of naval power. The sea is endless, but the shadow of a carrier strike group stretches farther than the horizon. To those who watch from the shore, an aircraft carrier looks like a floating city. To those who understand naval power, it is something even more terrifying, a mobile airbase, capable of unleashing storms of steel and fire from hundreds of miles away. For nearly a century, the United States has been the master of these giants. The USS Enterprise during the Cold War, the Nimitz class during America's global reign, and now the Ford class, equipped with electromagnetic catapults and advanced radar systems that seem pulled from science fiction. 11 of these carriers sail under the U.S. flag. Each one carries an air wing of fighters, bombers, and surveillance aircraft capable of reshaping any battlefield they approach. But here is the twist. Carriers are not only symbols of dominance, they are symbols of vulnerability. They are massive, impossible to hide, and every rival navy dreams of the day they can challenge one. And today China dreams louder than most. In the early 2000s, few believed China would ever field a carrier. Yet within 2 decades they launched the Liaoning, then the Shandong, and now the Fujian, a ship that signals a leap into the future. It is larger, equipped with catapults, and capable of launching heavier aircraft. Though still fewer in number compared to America's fleet, these carriers represent something more than steel and deck space. They represent intent. Now picture the South China Sea, waves broken by 2 silhouettes on the horizon. On one side, the USS Ronald Reagan, flanked by cruisers and submarines lurking unseen below. On the other, the Shandong, escorted by sleek Type 052D destroyers, their radars scanning the skies for invisible threats. The world watches, wondering, if the carriers clashed, whose air power would rule the skies? American carriers bring decades of experience. Pilots trained in constant combat operations, aircraft like the F/A-18 Super Hornet and the stealthy F-35C, supported by E-2D Hawkeyes that can see beyond the curve of the Earth. These wings are hardened, tested, and refined in wars stretching from the Gulf to the Pacific. China's carriers, by contrast, are younger. Their aircraft, the J-15 Flying Shark, are still learning to master deck landings and complex carrier operations. Yet China's strategy is cunning. It does not need to match the US globally. It needs to deny access regionally. To turn the South China Sea into a fortress where even an American carrier hesitates to enter. This is where the story grows darker. China's arsenal includes the DF-21D and DF-26 anti-ship ballistic missiles, known in the West as carrier killers. These weapons are designed for one purpose: to threaten the very heart of US naval dominance. A missile that streaks through the atmosphere at hypersonic speed, plunging toward a carrier's deck, could cripple America's symbol of power before its aircraft even launch. But is it that simple? Analysts debate fiercely. Can these missiles truly strike a moving carrier defended by layers of Aegis radars, interceptor missiles, electronic warfare, and decoy systems? Or is the fear of them more powerful than their reality? The suspense lies not in what we know but in what we don't. Meanwhile, the carriers themselves are evolving. America invests in new systems like unmanned aerial refueling drones, designed to extend the range of its fighters. China experiments with stealth aircraft that could one day take off from the Fujian's deck, pushing the boundaries of what its navy can achieve. If these two navies ever crossed paths, the opening moves would be shrouded in deception. A carrier strike group does not sail blindly into battle. It brings satellites, cyber warfare, and electronic jamming to blind its enemy. The air war above the Pacific would be more than just dogfights. It would be a contest of sensors, data, and who can see the other first. But here's the chilling truth. Carriers are only as powerful as the seas they sail. In open oceans, America's experience and global reach give it the edge. In the confined, missile-filled waters of the South China Sea, China's carriers may not even need to match America ship for ship. They only need to survive long enough to deny access. So when the waves crash and the skies darken with fighters, the clash of carriers becomes more than a battle of steel. It becomes a battle of willpower, strategy, and psychology. The United States projects confidence, daring anyone to challenge its supremacy. China projects patience, knowing that even the shadow of a missile could alter American strategy. As this chapter ends, the ocean grows quieter once more. The carriers retreat over the horizon, their decks bristling with aircraft, their escorts scanning the deep. But the suspense lingers. Because the carriers are only the beginning of this story. The next battle is hidden below the waves, where silence is deadlier than sound. And that is where we must go next.
Silent Hunters. The submarine duel beneath the waves. The ocean at night is endless. The surface seems calm, the stars reflected across the black water, but beneath the waves lies a world of shadows. A place where silence is everything, and survival depends on who can stay hidden the longest. This is the realm of the submarine, the deadliest predator humanity has ever built. For decades, the United States has ruled this undersea domain. Nuclear-powered submarines glide through the depths, capable of traveling across oceans without surfacing for months. Their sonar can hear the faintest sound, a screw turning miles away, a whisper of metal against water. Their missiles can strike targets thousands of miles inland, or sink enemy fleets before they even know danger is near. To America, the submarine force is its invisible shield and its invisible dagger. But China has been watching. And in recent decades, the People's Liberation Army Navy has poured resources into creating its own silent hunters. Diesel-electric submarines, quiet and difficult to track in shallow seas. Nuclear-powered boats that can patrol further into the Pacific. Each one a potential ambush waiting in the dark waters of the South China Sea. This is where the suspense rises. On the surface, aircraft carriers grab headlines, but in war, it is the unseen duel below the waves that may decide everything. Because a single submarine, lurking in silence, can threaten an entire carrier strike group. Picture this. Deep in the Pacific, the USS Virginia, a U.S. nuclear attack submarine, creeps silently along a thermal layer. Its sonar picks up faint echoes, a distant hum. Somewhere out there, a Chinese Type 093 submarine listens back, both hunters aware but unseen. Each commander knows that a single mistake, one noise too loud, one maneuver too slow, could mean the end. The United States brings unmatched experience to this silent battlefield. Its Virginia-class submarines are masterpieces of stealth, their reactors so quiet that even the ocean struggles to hear them. Their weapons include Tomahawk cruise missiles, able to strike ports, airfields, or missile sites from hundreds of miles away, as well as advanced torpedoes that can track and destroy anything in their path. China, however, has numbers and geography on its side. The South China Sea is not the open Atlantic. It is shallow, crowded with islands, fishing boats, and noisy shipping lanes. In such waters, even the quietest submarine can be betrayed by the chaos of the environment. Here, China's diesel-electric submarines, like the Yuan class, become deadly. Running on battery power, they can vanish into the noise of the sea, almost impossible to detect. This creates a terrifying balance. America's submarines may be more advanced, but China's are playing on home turf. And when you combine that with shore-based sensors, undersea listening posts, and swarms of patrol aircraft, the ocean becomes a trap. But the duel is not just about weapons. It is about nerves. Submarine commanders live in a world of isolation, where decisions are made in silence, without confirmation, often with only fragments of data. Imagine sitting in a steel tube hundreds of feet beneath the sea, knowing another submarine could be just miles away, listening, waiting. The suspense never ends. Analysts warn that in a U.S.-China conflict, the submarine war would likely begin long before any surface clash. American subs would attempt to break into the South China Sea, to threaten Chinese ships and bases. Chinese subs would fan out to create ambush points, lying in wait. The first casualties of such a conflict might not even be seen, only silence on a sonar screen where once there was a contact. And here lies the haunting truth. Neither side fully knows the other's capabilities. America has never revealed the true limits of its submarine stealth. China has never shown how capable its new nuclear boats truly are. Each navy lives in a fog of uncertainty, preparing for an enemy they have never faced in combat. The suspense builds further when you consider the stakes. If an American submarine were to sink a Chinese carrier, the escalation would be immediate and severe. If a Chinese submarine were to ambush an American destroyer, the pressure on Washington would be immense. One strike beneath the waves could ignite a storm on the surface. And what about the ultimate shadow? China's Jin-class submarines carry nuclear missiles. America's Ohio-class and Columbia-class do the same. Though never intended for use in conventional war, their presence haunts every calculation. Because beneath the ocean, silence is not only deadly, it is strategic. The clash of submarines is not glamorous. There are no dramatic pictures, no soaring jets, no flashing missiles. Only the sound of sonar pings echoing in the dark, the hum of propellers, and the knowledge that one unseen torpedo could decide the fate of fleets. So as Chapter 3 closes, the ocean returns to silence. The submarines slip back into the deep, their positions unknown, their intentions hidden. But the suspense lingers. Because beneath the waves, the duel never ends. And when the time comes, the hunters of the deep may be the ones who decide who rules the surface. But if the seas belong to the submarines, What happens when the battlefield rises into the skies, into realms beyond sight? The next chapter will take us there, to the war fought not in water, but in the air and space above. Skies of fire and the war beyond the atmosphere. The sea is vast, but the sky above it is infinite. Naval battles are no longer decided by steel alone. They are decided by who controls the air above the fleet, and who commands the invisible satellites circling far beyond the clouds. For decades, American warships have sailed with a shield in the sky. Carrier-based fighters, early warning aircraft, and a network of satellites providing real-time intelligence. This dominance has given the U.S. Navy the power to operate anywhere, projecting strength across oceans. But today, that shield is being tested. China has invested heavily in what military strategists call anti-access and area denial systems designed to keep the U.S. out of its near seas. The airspace above the South China Sea is no longer a free domain. It is a fortress of radar stations, missile batteries, and interceptors waiting to challenge any intruder. Picture the scene. A U.S. carrier strike group launches its air wing. Dozens of F/A-18 Super Hornets and F-35C stealth fighters streak into the skies. Their mission: suppress defenses, establish air superiority, protect the fleet. But waiting for them are squadrons of Chinese J-20 stealth fighters, sleek, angular, and designed to rival the best America can field. From hidden islands, long-range surface-to-air missiles ignite, reaching higher than ever before, searching for targets. The suspense is palpable. In the Pacific skies, dogfights may not look like the ones of World War II. They would be sudden, violent bursts of missile locks, electronic jamming, and high-speed maneuvers. Whoever controls the electromagnetic spectrum, the invisible war of radar, signals, and deception, controls the battle. America's advantage lies in experience. Its pilots have fought countless air campaigns, from the deserts of Iraq to the mountains of Afghanistan. Its stealth technology, refined over decades, allows aircraft to slip past enemy radars and strike before being detected. The F-35C, with its advanced sensors, can see and share targets like an airborne command center. But China has learned quickly. The J-20, though newer, is designed to challenge American stealth fighters. It carries long-range missiles meant to strike before an enemy can even close in. Supported by ground-based radars and missile systems, China aims to turn the skies above its waters into a trap where even American stealth is not invincible. And then comes the chilling truth: the battle may not end in the atmosphere. It may begin beyond it. Space has become the newest battlefield, though no shot has yet been fired there in anger. Both the U.S. and China rely on satellites for navigation, communication, targeting, and surveillance. Without them, modern fleets would be blind. A carrier would not know where to launch its planes. A submarine would struggle to coordinate with command. Precision missiles would lose their guidance. That is why, quietly but relentlessly, both nations prepare for the possibility of space warfare. The United States has created the Space Force, dedicated to protecting its assets in orbit. China has tested anti-satellite missiles, demonstrating the ability to shatter spacecraft into clouds of debris. Imagine a future clash. As jets roar overhead, a satellite in low orbit is suddenly struck by a kinetic weapon. Its pieces scatter, blinding American surveillance over the South China Sea. In response, electronic warfare disrupts Chinese satellites, cutting off their naval commanders from vital data. The war expands into realms no human soldier has ever fought before. This is where suspense reaches its highest point. The ocean, the air, and space itself are no longer separate. They are linked. Lose control in one domain, and the others collapse. If America's satellites are blinded, its carriers become vulnerable. If China's radar systems are jammed, its coastal defenses are pierced. The skies of fire are not just about jets and missiles. They are about who controls the invisible web of technology that binds the modern battlefield together. And yet, there is one more domain that lurks in the shadows, perhaps the most unpredictable of all: cyberspace. A place where the battle is fought not with ships or planes, but with lines of code. A war that can begin without a single shot being fired. As Chapter 4 closes, The ocean is still, the skies are tense, and the satellites continue their silent orbit above. But you know the suspense is far from over. Because if the seas, the skies, and space are vulnerable, what happens when the battlefield moves into the digital world itself? That is where we must go next, into the hidden war of code, data, and deception. The cyber ocean, wars fought in silence and shadows. The battlefield is no longer just the sea, the sky, or even the stars above. The most dangerous front may not be visible at all. It lies in silence, in lines of code, in the unseen currents of cyberspace. And here, the United States and China confront each other in ways the world rarely sees. For centuries, navies measured their power in cannons, in the number of sails, in the weight of steel. But today, a fleet can be crippled not by a missile, but by a keystroke. A warship's radar can be blinded, its communications severed, its navigation tricked into steering off course. The ocean of data has become as critical as the ocean of water. Both the US and China know this. Both have built vast cyber commands, hidden armies of hackers and specialists who never set foot on a battlefield but whose work may decide the outcome of wars. The suspense lies in the uncertainty. No one outside those secret rooms truly knows the full extent of their power. Picture a carrier strike group sailing through the Pacific. Suddenly, its radar systems flicker. Alarms sound, not because of incoming missiles, but because its networks are under attack. Data streams are corrupted, targeting systems falter, and commanders struggle to tell truth from deception. In this moment, the enemy does not need to fire a shot. The fleet is already vulnerable. This is the nature of cyber war. It begins long before conflict is declared. Malware can be planted years in advance, hidden like mines on the seabed, waiting to detonate at the right moment. Satellites can be spoofed, showing false positions. Civilian infrastructure, ports, power grids, communication hubs, can be targeted to paralyze logistics before a single ship sails. The United States has long been a pioneer in cyber operations, with unmatched resources and alliances that share intelligence across the globe. Its fleets are hardened with layers of defense, designed to withstand attacks and keep operating even under digital assault. But China has a different strength, scale, and focus. Its cyber units are vast, integrated into both military and civilian networks, and tailored toward regional dominance. Just as its navy builds to control its near seas, its cyber strategies aim to control the digital waters close to home, while probing deeper into American systems whenever possible. The suspense grows when you realize how invisible this war is. Submarine duels leave sonar echoes. Fighter battles leave contrails in the sky. But cyber clashes may never be seen, never even acknowledged. A ship might report technical difficulties, when in reality it has been digitally attacked. A missile might miss its target, not because of mechanical failure, but because its guidance was deceived. And then comes the most haunting possibility. What happens if both sides unleash their cyber arsenals fully? Power grids flicker. Satellites go dark. Communication lines collapse. The modern world depends on these networks for everything, from trade to defense to daily life. A cyber war at sea would not only decide fleets. It could ripple across nations, economies, and civilians far from the battlefield. Yet, within this uncertainty lies deterrence. Both nations know that escalation in cyberspace could spiral out of control. Just as nuclear weapons keep rivals cautious, the threat of total cyber disruption creates hesitation. The most powerful weapons may remain unused, but their shadow is always present. As the story draws to its close, we return to the ocean itself. The waves still roll, carriers still sail, submarines still hunt, and satellites still orbit. But now you know the truth. The strength of a navy is no longer measured only in ships. It is measured in how all domains, sea, air, space, and cyber, are woven together. So, is China's navy stronger than the world believes compared to the United States? The answer is not simple. America still holds the edge in global reach, experience, and technology. But China has built something extraordinary: regional power, speed of growth, and strategies designed to exploit every weakness. The suspense lies in what comes next. If a confrontation ever came, it would not look like the wars of the past. It would be fought in silence, in shadows, in the skies, and perhaps even in the networks that bind our lives together. And so, the ocean remains calm, for now. But beyond the horizon, two giants continue their silent race, their fleets and their codes preparing for a future no one dares to fully predict. This video, like all others, is for educational purposes only. Yet, as you step away, you are left with a haunting thought. When the next great clash comes, not just of ships, but of systems, who will truly rule the seas? Stay tuned, because the storm has only begun to gather.